Jai Shri Gurudev. Om Jnanatmirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurminatanjena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Gurvavishtashapurakam Gurugurashisha Sambhushitam Chincha Chincha Samastavira Nipunam Shrirupa Pantanugam Govinda Viramujvalam Bharatanam Bhaktyam Vitam Sundaram Vande Vishwa Guruncha Divya Bhagavad Premno Hibhijapradam Anshakalpa Turubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Tvise Namaha. Well, we are very happy to be here at our West London Mat at the feet of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu and Sri Radha Giridhari Ju and beautiful Vaishnavas, and especially happy we have Ananga Manjari with us. Oh, huh? No. Ananga Manjari is 12 years old, looks much older, and is very, very mature for her age. But she's been here for the summer. For, is it a month now you've been here?
I guess so.
Okay.
This will be a month by the time I leave.
Okay, and she came for 1 week, and then she told her parents she wanted to stay longer, and then she said she wanted to stay longer, so now it's almost a month, almost 4 weeks that she's been here, and devotees are telling me how enthusiastic she is, asking for more and more seva and helping with so many things. And this is a very good symptom. And we see there is fresh energy. Also, Giradhar, Saraswati's son, he's 15, I think, maybe 16. I think 15 still. He's done the morning puja. He's learning the morning puja from Saraswati. He's here every day doing puja. So it's a very good symptom when you see there's some young energy. Then it gives you hope for the future, and you can understand there's a current here, and they are naturally attracted to that. So it is very encouraging, very hopeful, and very inspiring, and exemplary. Also, the youth is to be engaged in the service of Guru and Gauranga, not to be wasted. And Prahlad Maharaj, he showed that example, right? And he gave that teaching. That as soon as one has some developed consciousness, they should immediately give that in the service of the Lord. Not to wait until we are old. Not to wait until we got tired of the world. But why not just skip that step of wasting your time in the world and go straight to the real thing? So Ananga Manjari has a question. She wants to know how to be a real devotee, basically, right?
And I also feel like it's very easy, especially for the younger devotees, to become proud. So I kind of want to know how it's easier for the younger devotees to actually get the mood of a pure devotee.
You're saying it's easier for the younger devotees to become proud.
Yeah, because I guess they get the most praise, if you get what I mean.
Uh-huh. They get a lot of attention.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. So how to avoid becoming proud
Yeah.
when you're getting so much attention?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, that's a very good question. And then the other question she asked was about the 6 limbs of Sharanagati. Well, let's see, maybe we'll go step by step. Maybe we'll finish the question another time. But the first, so we're going to answer this one first then, how to avoid becoming proud. Yeah, this is very important, because pride spoils everything. Our Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj, my Gurudev, he gave a very nice example that, say you've just milked a cow. You have a nice pot of milk. And then one drop of the cow urine, of the cow pee, it falls into the milk. Then what happens?
You're not going to drink the milk.
Yeah, you're not going to drink the milk. You have this nice big pot of fresh, raw, organic milk. And, there are so many wonderful things that you want to make out of that. And then one drop of urine goes into this nice big pot, and then it's all spoiled. So our Gurudev, he compared pratishta. Do you know the word pratishta? Pratishta means the desire for recognition, for fame, for position. Actually, literally the word means to establish oneself. Literally is not a bad thing. Literally it means to establish oneself. So it can also be used in a good sense, to establish ourselves in a spiritual consciousness or something like that. But in the way that it's used 99% of the time, it refers to the desire to establish oneself in an egoic sense, in an egoistic sense. We self-establishment instead of guru establishment, or Krishna establishment. Instead of wanting to establish Guru and Gauranga, we want to establish ourselves in an egoistic sense. This is how it is used almost all of the time. So when we say pratishta, this is what we mean. The desire for recognition, for pride, and pride. So very nice. This was our Gurudev's example, that one drop of this pride, it can spoil everything. That a devotee can be full of so many beautiful qualities. A devotee may be very capable, it can do many things, it may have very sweet behavior, they may be very efficient, they may be very expert in puja or cooking or speaking. But if there is just, thank you, Didi. But if there is just a drop of pride about that, oh yes, I'm a very good pujari, oh I'm a very good cook, I'm a very good speaker, oh I'm so humble and I'm so sweet and everybody likes me, then it's all ruined. It's not attractive anymore. It becomes ugly, it becomes distasteful. So it's very important, it's very good that you have brought this point up.
What was the point?
The question was that young devotees are more likely to become proud because they get so much attention and they get so much praise. So she's asking how to avoid that pride. Well, first thing we have to remember is that nothing belongs to us. We have to remember that whatever comes to us is by the grace of the Lord. It is mercy. It is not ours. Because Krishna can give and Krishna can also take away. So if something nice comes to us, maybe some nice quality or nice capacity or intelligence, we have to think this is the Lord's mercy. This is my Guru's mercy. He's giving this to me to use in service. It's not for me. It is actually their property. And they are giving it to me to use for them. It's not mine. So therefore we have to, so if someone gives some honor to us, we have to immediately think of our Guru, think of Mahaprabhu, and offer it to them. Immediately. Once my Gurudev Srila Govinda Maharshi, he said, I cannot digest all of this praise. No. You can think of it in this way too, that pratishta is indigestible. It will give you a tummy ache. Well, I like it lower, but for the camera I think it's better, so it's okay. You can think of it in this way, that pratishta is indigestible. If you try to digest it, you'll get a tummy ache. If you swallow pratishta, you won't be able to digest. If you take it, so what I mean is if someone gives you some praise, if you take it for yourself, it'll give you a tummy ache. So what's the solution to this?
We offer it to Gurudev and to the Lord.
Yes. And then the analogy that our Gurudev used, he said, I cannot digest all this pratishta that's coming to me, this honor. He said, I have to make myself into a pratishta rocket. I have to throw that to my Guru. It doesn't belong to me. If I cannot take it myself, I won't be able to take it. So I have to offer it up to my Guru. It is for him. There's also a very helpful expression that our Gurus have taught us, that we can always remember, that all enjoyment, all pleasure of the senses belongs to Krishna. All money, all wealth belongs to Narayan, to Vishnu. And all pratishta belongs to Guru. So you'll see sometimes, like maybe you have a new book, Sharanagati, right? So you'll see at the beginning, in the top of the page, we'll say, do you know what it says? Look in the beginning of that book.
This one.
Yeah, it's in the beginning of all our books. The very first page, at the top.
Shri Guru Gauranga Jayata.
Yeah, you're Bengali, so you know what that means, right?
Shri Guru Gauranga Jayata.
Do you know what that means?
What is the bit at the end in Jayata?
Is Jai, is the same as Jai. So it means glories.
Yeah.
So all glories to Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Guru. You'll see it like this, or you'll see it in English. All glories to Shri Guru Gauranga. So we put this at the beginning of everything. Like we've made this nice presentation, but we're offering it to our Guru. No credit is to me. No credit is to me. So that is one point. And then another point is that in the beginning, our perspective is not so developed. That we're seeing around us, we're seeing some, we're connecting with the immediate environment that we're in. So we don't have so much, what I mean to say is we don't have so much of a reference point for what is service, who are the devotees, what is the service plane. We have a limited idea and we have a limited reference point. And so because of that, we can feel ourselves to be much bigger than we are. It is like say you're in or like one devotee was telling me how in her class it was very easy for her to be top of the class because first of all, there weren't very many students, and none of them were very good students. And so it gave her this kind of like competitive mood that, oh, it will be very easy for me to be the best in the class, you know. So she became the best in the class, but it didn't actually mean that much, because it wasn't like she had much competition there, you know. You understand? So like, you know, we can, like, we have a limited perspective of the service environment, and we can feel ourselves to be very big. But if we had a bigger picture, oh maybe I'm like number one here, but what about in a bigger sphere? You know, I'll be the lowest there, right? So in the same way, as our perspective develops, and our understanding and perspective of the service plane in a higher plane, as that develops within us, we'll feel ourselves to be more and more small. You know, once we're getting some idea of the great service that has been done by other devotees, by the service that is done by the eternal associates of the Lord, by the whole service play that's taking place in the eternal plane, you know, we'll feel ourselves to be smaller and smaller and smaller. It's like if I'm here, I'm feeling like, oh, I'm a big person. You know, I'm here in this building, and I feel like a big person. But if I go out, like I just came from Italy, and there are mountains surrounding the temple there. It's in the countryside. Now, if you go and stand at the bottom of one of those mountains, think, wow, I am so small. Right? You're standing in front of something so big. Oh my goodness, I am so small. I'm like nothing. So it's kind of like if you're you know, if you're zoomed in, she doesn't use a smartphone. See, that's why she's so smart, because she doesn't use a smartphone. It's very intelligent. But maybe like you used a camera once, you can zoom in and zoom out, right?
Yeah.
So when you zoom in, you feel like, oh, you're very, very close, right? And then when you start zooming out, you see like a bigger and bigger picture, and you will feel further away. You know? So in the same way, when we're kind of like zoomed in on like this, our small little understanding and contact with Krishna consciousness, we can feel, oh, I am very big. But once we start to zoom out and get a bigger picture of what's going on, we'll realize, oh, I'm like one little tiny little speck of dust over here. And there's so many amazing devotees and so many amazing services going on. So that's another thing. That's something that will naturally develop as time goes by, you know, and as our understanding becomes deeper and our perspective becomes greater, then naturally we will realize, oh, you know, whatever I'm doing is not that much actually, compared to everything else that's going on, you know, in the bigger picture. That will happen naturally. There's a very beautiful introduction that our Gurudev wrote. I think it's to the first of the sermons books, a book of Srila Sridhar Maharaj's talks, and he says, you know, when we look at the feats of great servitors like Garuda, then we may feel very hopeless. You know Garuda, right? Is Krishna's carrier. He's an eagle, right? think he's an ego. So he's like a very powerful servitor of Lord Krishna. So Gurudev says there that when we look at all the great services that are being done by these great devotees, then we may feel a little hopeless. That's what will happen, you know. And when we really think about what everyone else is doing, then that will be how we will feel. And then he said, still, maybe do we have it there? Let me see. It's so beautiful. But he says, still, we should still feel the desire to fly. Oh, maybe it's not here. It's in the first volume. I think it's here.
You need light brown?
Yeah, the light brown. Let's see. Yes, the light brown. But anyhow, he makes this expression, you know, like, still, we have nothing else to do. and still we must feel the desire to fly. According to our small capacity, you know, we must give what we can and as we can. So just as an example, you know, how our appreciation will develop as we get a broader perspective of the service of so many other great servitors. And another point about this doinya, right? You know the word doinya in Bengali. Doinya is humility. Maybe they don't use that in modern Bengali. Doinya, no. What do you say for humility?
I was reading that just this morning. What was the word? I just started.
I mean, like in your home, or maybe you don't use that word. So. Okay. like if someone says, "Oh, you should be more humble," or what would they say? Okay. Okay, don't worry. So doinya is a sadhu bhashya, Bengali, for humility. Also karpanyam is used. There are other words. But another important point, so we covered 2 points, and then another third important point is that why is it so important, humility? And if you look in your Sharanagati book, right, the six limbs of Sharanagati are discussed. So what's the first one there that Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes about? It's doinya, humility. It's humility, the opposite of pride. So we talked about how to avoid pride, and now we can talk about the opposite of that. And this also links into your other question, right, about the 6 limbs of Sharanagati. So humility is very important because humility is what draws grace. Humility will attract mercy. Pride will repel mercy. Because in pride, we feel, oh, we are so great, we have so much. So how can we receive anything if we feel we already have so much? We can't, right? You know, like you know, sometimes people will say, or I do it, I'm sure. It's kind of a bad habit. We say, I know. It's actually like a disease that humans have. It's a human disease. I know. We always want, you hear that, right? Like we don't want people to think we don't know. You know, or if someone's telling us something, we say, oh, I already know that. You know, we like to be known as someone who knows.
But that's not being humble or honest, is it?
No, it's not. And then the problem is then if somebody, and sometimes people say it, or we say it, and we don't actually know. Thank you, Didi. Thank you so much, Didi. So the problem is, like, when we say that, then immediately the other person shuts down. Oh, okay, well, you don't really want to hear what I have to say, or you think you already know. Maybe you have some idea, but you don't know what I was going to say, you don't know all the details. So as soon as somebody asserts, I know, then that's just the end of the conversation, right? And we don't have anything to give you, you just know everything. So this is another problem with pride, that you cannot receive anything when you're proud, because you think you already have something. So humility, it is described sometimes as the very first quality of our spiritual lives. Because the main necessity for devotees of Krishna and Mahaprabhu is to make themselves a good receiver, to receive mercy. It is like, like we use these telephones and things like that, radios. And how do they work? They work because they're subtle transmissions moving in the atmosphere, right? So if I have a phone, then I can connect. Like there's a Wi-Fi running, right? There's this, I don't even know what it is or how it works. But we know that there's Wi-Fi pervading the atmosphere, right? But I cannot connect with it unless I have a device. So I have a phone or a computer or an iPad or whatever they call the I can't remember the non-Apple version of the iPad. And so then they tune in with those devices. We can connect with that Wi-Fi current. So in the same way, the Lord's mercy is everywhere. But we can't connect with it unless we wire ourselves in the right way. Just like a device is wired, a device is made to receive Wi-Fi connection. So we have to make ourselves so that we can receive the mercy connection, right? So it's very important for the devotees of Mahaprabhu. And so humility is the number one quality that will allow us to receive that mercy connection. Because in humility, there is an emptiness there. An emptiness, that I don't have very much. I need something. So if someone doesn't have, then naturally someone wants to give them. Then there's space to give them something. If they're full, then you can't give them anything. But if the cup is empty, then you can fill it with something. So this is what is so important about the quality of humility. Humility will attract mercy. So this is another angle on your question there. That we may think, well, I have something, but I need more. And I won't be able to receive more unless I'm open to it, unless I really feel needy for it, that I'm lacking in something. So, the real devotees, they are always hungry for more. They may have so much, but their appetite's never satisfied. There's one beautiful verse by a great devotee of Mahaprabhu, Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur. And he says, Vanshitosmi, 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 Nasamshaya, Vishwam Gor Rasemagnam, Sparshopi, Mamanabhava. This is in, Srila Sridhar Maharaj included this in Prapana Jivanamrita. These are the two main books on Sharanagati, surrender. the book that you have now, the song book of Sharanagati by Bhakti Thakur, and the other is by our grandfather Guru, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, Prapana Jivanamrita. This is also all about Sharanagati, so that's another good book to read. So this verse, Prabodha in the Saraswati, Srila Sridhar Maharaj included it in Prapana Jivanamrita. And the meaning is, I've been cheated, I've been cheated, I've been cheated. The whole world has been flooded in love for Mahaprabhu. I didn't even get one drop of it. I didn't even get a touch of it. Everybody else got it except for me. The whole world is drowning in it, and I didn't even get a touch. So how can we understand this? Like, logically, it doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't make any sense. But this is his feeling. Why? Because he has such a great appetite, because he's so hungry. Like if you're going to take prasadam, one person will take this much and they're full. Like Saraswati, she eats like a mouse. She'll take this and she's full. And then Gadadhar will take a big plate, and maybe he'll want more. So it depends on your appetite. So the great devotees, they have an insatiable appetite. They always, no matter how much they get, they're hungry. They need more. They need more mercy. So this is another secret. Here we can read this. Very beautiful.
That was a page you wanted to read, is that it?
Yes, exactly. Jai Shiship Guru Ranganadha Harichu. Here it is. So this is written by our Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj. We are insignificant souls attempting to fly across the infinite sky. We are insignificant souls attempting to fly across the infinite sky, like fledglings. You know what a fledgling means? It means a baby bird here. Like fledglings with so much, well, not necessarily, I mean, here he means a bird. I think it just means like a baby something, right? Like a.
Like I thought with wings.
Is that what a fledgling means?
So
Yeah.
maybe something with wings.
Yeah, I'm not really sure actually. But in this context, it means like a baby bird. Like fledglings with so much desire, but practically no capacity. Seeing the great valiant devotees like Garuda, effortlessly soaring over forests, mountains, rivers, seas, and oceans, we may realize that we are but neophytes, fledglings of finite capacity. Nonetheless, ought we not feel the desire to fly? Furthermore, who, however great a personality he may be, has ever been or will be ever able or ever will be able to cross the ocean of the boundless glories of the Supreme Lord? No, it is such an infinite ocean that it's not possible to cross it anyway. So simply according to our capacity, we can try to fly over that ocean. Very, very beautiful. And, these are very important questions because we want to serve with consciousness, right? Real service is not just a physical or mental capacity, right? It's not about just doing and doing this, and that's not what real service is. Real service is an offering of the heart. So it is important to discuss these things. And you've also heard of the 9 practices of devotion, right?
I've heard them before at Green Street, I remember. Yeah, I've heard them at Green Street before. I don't know how many I can remember though. There's remembering, hearing, chanting,
Very good.
um,
I think we did some classes at Green Street. I think this was in our class, actually.
yeah.
It was a long time ago. That was like 3 years ago.
Those are the 3 I seem to remember.
Okay. Oh, don't worry about that. Yeah. So Shravanam means hearing. This is the first. Shravanam, Kirtanam means chanting. Vishnu Smaranam, remembering. Pada Sevanam means serving the feet of the Lord. Then Archanam means worship. Vandanam means praying. Dasyam means service, serving the Lord in the mood of a servant. And then Sakyam, serving the Lord in a mood of friendship. And then Atma Nivedanam means full self-surrender. Atma, you know the word Atma, right? The self.
Yeah, self.
And then Nivedanam means offering, so self-offering. So these 9 practices of devotion, do you know who they came from? Prahlad. These are very essential for us. These are very important for us. But the most important, can you guess which is the most important out of these?
Is it the very last one?
Which was?
Full self-surrender.
Very good, yes. Because this surrender, this is the very life of our devotional activities, of our service. Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he gave a very nice example that if you have a drama going on, a play happening on a stage, and he said the stage is like that Atma Nivedanam, surrender. And all the activities that you do in your service life, they're like the drama that's taking place on the stage. So if the stage collapses, then the whole thing is ruined, right? You can't do anything. So in the same way, there are many, we do all these other things, Shravanam, Kirtanam, hearing and chanting and worship and different services. But the thing that gives them life, the thing that really makes them connected with with the current of devotion is that mood of surrender, is that mood of self-giving. Otherwise, it's meaningless. It's just karma, So it's very important, very necessary that we are always serving with consciousness and constantly readjusting ourselves and trying to understand, how can I improve? How can my consciousness be adjusted in a better way? What type of mood am I doing? Maybe I'm doing so many things, but what is the mood in which I'm doing it? Because Krishna, one way Krishna is described is as Bhava Grahi Janardana, means the Lord who takes the heart of the devotee, who takes the mood of the devotee. He's not looking so much at what you're doing, but he's looking at how you're doing it. What's the mood in which you're doing it? So it's very, very important. So the 6 limbs of surrender. Oh, and another point we can mention about doinya, humility. One way in which Srila Sridhar Maharaj has mentioned it, like how can we cultivate it? We've discussed a number of points. Another point is that if we simply consider with a neutral mind, what is our actual position? Not even in a spiritual sense, just like in a very general sense. What is our position? You know, we are tiny, tiny jiva souls. It is said that the soul is 1/10,000th the tip of a hair. So if you took the tip of a hair and you split it up so many thousands of times, then you'll get the size of the soul, one soul. It's very, very small. And how many souls are living? In this world, there's like 8 billion or something. What about all the other worlds? It is said that this world is like one tiny mustard seed in a huge bag of mustard seeds. How many billions and billions and trillions of souls are there living within the sum total of this material reality without even going to the spiritual reality? And why do we think we're so big and so important? It's very funny, isn't it? We all think that we're the center of the world. No, it's very funny. So if we just consider this point, we are very tiny, tiny souls living in a universe of billions and billions and trillions of such souls. Then whatever I'm doing is not that important. It doesn't mean that we have to become depressed. There's actually nothing wrong with not being so important. This is like a hang-up that we have in this world, that we have to be important. You don't have to be important. It's not like success of life, real success, real happiness, real fulfillment is achieved by being important. It's not like, oh man, I'm not important, how depressing. If anything, the opposite. But what we want, the real fulfillment, the real real success is when we can connect with that greater current, when we can connect with that organic whole, with that divine service play of the Lord. Then it doesn't matter how small or insignificant we are. We're connected to something so wonderful and so great. Gurudev gave this very charming analogy that he said that the jiva souls, they're so fortunate because they're very small and they can swim in the ocean of Krishna's beauty and wonderful qualities.
I think it's also easy to remember, like we're so small, but the ego is very big.
Yes.
And then the ego wants to enjoy that fame or that glory or something, and then you're completely in a material plane. And we don't want to be in a material plane. We want to be very small and humble, and that we can experience the more subtleties and the mercy of the spiritual plane.
Yes,
because
exactly.
a materialist, like a celebrity or somebody who's very successful, he wants to enjoy that success, and that needs to be on a material plane, on a material platform. Because if he becomes like more spiritual, then he doesn't need all this success and all this adoration. But a materialist wants to come, bring it on, at the enjoyment and my glory, and while it is crazy because it's all Krishna's mercy, and we are so small. I remember also one time I was in an airplane, and in the airplane, then all the lights, and you see all the lights of the city.
Right,
and then,
that's a nice example.
Yeah, and the lights, they're only a part of actually many people are in the street, and then you think, wow, and maybe they make a whole fuss, or they are not kind to each other, or they make a commotion, or how do you say, like a big scene, and it is so, but that's the ego. The ego spoils everything. This thing is so big and think that can do so many things and is free to be nasty and be unkind and be thinking what you said is center and they should know me, how important I am, and makes a completely mess of everything.
Have you been in an airplane before?
Yeah.
You see what happens, right? Yeah. You see how, then you understand how small we are.
And how the ego makes such a
Yes.
mess of things.
There's a verse in the scriptures which our Gurudev liked very much. Ahankara nivrittanam keshavo nahi dorga ahankara yutanam hi madhya parvata rasaya. It's very nice. Maybe you can learn verses. Because you know Bengali, so maybe it will be easy for you.
From where is that verse from?
I'll show you. It's in Prapana Jivanamrita. It's somewhere, I think, in the Puranas.
Okay.
But anyway, the verse says that for persons who have the ahankar, the false ego, madhya parvata, parvat, do you know that word, a parvat? Mountain. I know sadhu bhasyas, another Bengali, it's different, from modern Bengali. But parvat means a mountain. So for persons who have this ahankar, it's like there's a big mountain between them and the Lord. But for those who are free from the ahankar, Keshavo nahi dorga, the Lord is not far away from them. This ego, it creates this big distance. Actually, Krishna is living in our heart, right? He's very close to us. But we can't feel him because of that false ego. It's creating this huge separation. And that ahankar is such, Shididi was explaining so nicely, it creates this perspective that we are so big. It makes us feel that we are so big and everything we're doing is so important and we are in the center of everything. But that ahankar, it's a material energy which is creating a distortion. It's creating a distorted picture of things. And as that ahankar diminishes, then we'll have a clearer idea of what is the real situation. Instead of us being here, we'll be a little part over here. You're very hungry maybe. You want, go eat something. Well, maybe we'll do some kirtan now.
Okay.
Saraswati, she asked if we could do the class first. So I think that's okay for now. We can talk more tonight and tomorrow and the next day. Jai Shri Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Does someone know how to turn off the camera? I can do it. I can do it. Go have some breakfast.
Okay.
When you're hungry. She's doing so much service. Amazing.
Did I press the top first and then the bottom?